Welcome to the Business of School podcast, brought to you by Cole Connect. Get ready for a journey of topical insights, engaging conversations, and maybe a few aha moments from the business, finance, and technology side of schools. Cole School experts are your host, and with our guests from the world of education, we're about to embark on a learning adventure to support you in the business of your school. Toni Powell is a renowned speaker known for hilarious keynotes and ridiculously simple, yet wildly effective, wellbeing hacks that people actually remember and use. She's an author, award-winning filmmaker, and the unforgettable subject of an ABC's Australian Story episode called Let There Be Light. Her powerful Goldcast talk, The Power of Words, has reached over 15 million viewers worldwide. During the pandemic, Victoria University invited Toni to create a coached wellbeing program for 12 exhausted school principals. That program, now called Happy, Healthy, Strong Teams, was such a hit it went on to be offered through the WA Department of Education's Leadership Institute for 2 full years. The program has also been run by Department of Education New South Wales, and some principal associations have offered it to their members. To date, more than 500 school and department leaders have taken part in this fun, fast and refreshing easy approach to cultural change and staff wellbeing. Well, welcome Toni to the Business of School hot seat. Nice to have you on board.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, so are we. And your fascinating story, fascinating journey you've been on, and the work you do with corporates, associations, councils, small businesses, as well as schools. Yet you still say that your favourite audience is school leaders. Why is this? I'm fascinated to find out.
Easy. I think when I came into this, I started in corporates. And when I find something that works and that is easy, or that's a great product, I want to tell everybody. So I expected that when people had a really amazing change of life, pretty simply, they'd tell everybody. But in corporates, that didn't happen. But teachers teach. And what I find is when I'm working with leaders and teachers, that they are sharing this with their other staff, they're sharing it with their kids, they're sharing it with the parents, and they are making a really big difference. So that's why they're my favourite audience, because I know they'll not only use it themselves, they'll teach it to others.
Going right back to the beginning then, what sparked your interest in wellbeing, Toni?
I think as many people get their interest in wellbeing sparked when they have a complete life disaster. And in 2009, my life kind of fell pretty spectacularly down the toilet. It was public, it was humiliating. We lost our business, we lost our home. So it was big, but kind of bigger, we lost the dream we'd been working on for 4 years. Yeah. And yeah, it was really hard. And because I was already in my 50s and what I'd been doing those previous 4 years made me feel like this is what I was born for. So I had this incredible sense of purpose. And then suddenly at 50, it was gone. And with it, our finances and everything else. So I thought, this is the end. I've blown my thing. We can't come back from this. We're too old. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I spent a year crying. And by the end of that year, I just really, I didn't want to wake up. I was very, very sad and unhappy. Broke and also it wasn't a fun year. And my husband, bless his heart, he's an amazing man. He said, why don't you research how to change this without using, antidepressants and things? And I was like, okay, he knows I really like research. And I think he tapped into that thing in me. He gave me a challenge without making it up. Yeah. So I started researching and I'm ADHD, so I'm not probably going to spend a lot of time meditating. I'm not going to do a lot of routine things or breath work or this sort of stuff. I was looking for things that could change my well-being and my outlook pretty much instantly with very little effort. So when I actually found those things, then I was like, got to tell people. So I was planning to make a documentary. I went overseas, interviewed all the world leaders in these topics of well-being, happiness research, brain training, all sorts of things.
What an amazing experience that would have been.
It was 7 weeks of heaven. It was amazing meeting just incredible people and having them share their insights. So I came back all excited to make a documentary, just couldn't fund it. So I didn't want to leave this great stuff on the table and without an outlet. So I decided to just start talking, and 14 years later, I'm still talking.
Excellent. Well, and talking in front of big audiences. How did you end up doing the speaking gigs?
Well, I just started reaching out to corporates saying, I've got this workshop idea. I can come and help your team change how they do life. And I just kind of put myself out there. The fact that I'd had Australian Story done on me, I think opened doors where I might not have had an opening. So, to ring kind of cold to a complete stranger and say, hey, I've got this great idea. The fact I had Australian Story gave me an open door.
Yeah. Excellent. So out of all those things that you've learned, all that research you've done, all the people you've spoken to, give us a couple of quick wellbeing hacks that anyone can do.
I think one of the things that we really struggle with if our wellbeing isn't good is sleeping. And we lay awake and we're and I stumbled across something accidentally. I'd been doing a lot of research into words and the power of words. So I thought, I wonder if you just laid in bed and said positive words to yourself, if it would work. So I did that and it worked really quickly. Told my daughter about it and she decided to research it, came back and said that's something called cognitive shuffling. So, and I didn't know about that before. So, just lay in bed and say words. And it doesn't even matter if they're positive. They just have to be unrelated words like pig, cow, house, entrepreneur, whatever words, and just do that for a few minutes and unscrambles your brain.
Positive message into the unconscious. It's fantastic. Yeah, that's good. Now, many of us are very familiar with your speaking and your keynotes and the videos online. Your work is funny, heartwarming, it's grounded in science, all that research that you've done. Why that combination approach to what you do?
Again, I think it goes back to having ADHD, finding it very difficult to concentrate on things. So I wanted to make sure that what I did was almost effortless for your brain, because when we're doing things that are difficult for our brain, where our brain's got to do a lot of work, our brain doesn't really want to go back there. So I wanted to find a way to teach people this stuff that was no effort on their brain. So that's what I researched. And so my stuff is stories, highly visual and very funny, because that's what sticks in your brain easily. You don't have to work hard for that.
Yeah. No, excellent. One of those stories which many people that have been following you are familiar with would be the yellow car story. Maybe let's rehearse that slightly for those of us that don't know what that story is, and then we can talk about why people relate to it so deeply.
Yeah. I arrived at some friend's house in Greenslopes in Brisbane late one night, and we had this altercation with the neighbour across the road, who was upset that there was a yellow car parked on their front nature strip. And they went through all this drama about the car. And this is late at night. Anyway, it's a decent sized story, so I won't tell you all of it. But basically, their interaction with the car, I had this moment of insight while I was watching, and that's how I behave. I behave in this really silly way where I go round and round something that's bothering me and won't leave it alone, even on Friday night, even when it's late, and even when there's so many things I could be doing that would be way more fun. I'm just obsessed with what's wrong. And so after I had this little insight and watched these people do bizarre things for nearly an hour, I asked Phil to remind me about that. Remind me about tonight every time you see me kind of carrying on about this stuff. And it was incredibly instant way to change stress into laughter. And after we were using that for a little while, we realized it was going to be useful for anybody. So we decided to put it into a book, and then the book led to speaking about it. And I would never have imagined that I would end up telling that story for years. But
yeah. And why do you think it is so popular, and why people relate to it so deeply?
Uh, we've all got a neighbour like that, or have had a neighbour like that. And B, we all do these silly things where we obsess over minute details of how someone looked at us, or what someone said, or how something didn't go our way, or something we're worried about. And so people can instantly see themselves in the story. And it's such an easy one line to change stress. So they use it quickly, use it often, and it becomes embedded into a workplace.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And sometimes we do need a story or a metaphor to be able to just connect to hook our current experience onto and go, oh yeah, I see myself in that. I need to change. I need to, or yeah, change the language, change the story. Yeah, so I get that. That's good. So your happy, healthy programs. How are they helping schools at the moment in real practical terms? Like, what describe some of the work that you're doing in those programs with schools?
I put together. So I used to be going into workplaces doing these live workshops. Then COVID came, and so I decided to take all my material, put it into short videos, and ended up running a 8-week program for Western Australian Department of Education for a couple of years. And it's those 32 videos that people view over 8 weeks, and we meet in between and talk online. And basically, it's really the story of what I went through and how I changed, the little things I did and the science behind them. But it's pretty fun, and it's all embedded in like a film festival. So it's very different to your average wellbeing stuff. But again, because it's just a story and it's an ordinary person doing something that seems ordinary and simple, it's just easy to take on. It's not a lot of stress, not a lot of effort, not a lot of go out and do this and run here and exercise this and breathe or do meditation, whatever it is. It's not like that. It's very simple. So I think it's allowed the leaders that have been through it. I think we've had about 500 school leaders go through the program.
That's amazing.
With astonishing results, really. And again, I think it's back to the simplicity and ease of it, because I think that's what often we'll go to something, because I've been into self-development since I was 19, and I've been to so many workshops and things where I was so excited, but when I went home I couldn't actually action it. It was too hard, it was beyond me, and then I ended up actually feeling like a failure, so I would go backwards rather than forwards. And I didn't want to do something that could ever make people feel that like they'd failed, but that was so easy that it pushed people forward. And I think that's because it's a big story divided into 32 videos. It's very easy.
And what are some of the simple things that you suggest people change in that program? Can you give us some examples?
The first 11 videos are really helping them understand their brain and how their brain works. And it's through stories. Once they understand that, nearly everything is a natural change. And often people are talking about how their 6 weekends don't feel like they've done much, but things have changed.
So there's a lot of awareness of who we are and how we're connected and how we tick.
I think it helps them understand themselves in a different way and why they do things. And because they're understanding that about themselves, they then gain more compassion for other people, and it improves their relationships. And that is one of the things that people consistently report, is the change in relationships with their children, partners, colleagues, kind of thing. One principal I was working with earlier this year, later last year, I can't remember, but around week 6, he jumped on, he said, guess what? I'm not angry when I go home from work, and I don't yell at my kids anymore. And he was so excited to see that happen without really having to work on that, but it's just happened naturally. And that's the sort of thing we see, a lot of that sort of huge reduction in stress, improvement in relationships, bigger capacity for calm, better mental alertness and things.
And that's fantastic. If people are able to adopt those tools and use them simply in their own life, that not only do they see a change in themselves, but how there's a positive effect on those around them, then that's a winner, isn't it? That's brilliant.
I think one of the things that most of us don't know, and I didn't know this before, and it is that we have an absolute choice about happiness. It isn't the circumstances of your life that make you happy. It's your response to what happens.
100%. Happiness is most definitely a choice.
So a choice. And I didn't realize how much it was a choice. That those years of study into happiness were like, what? Anyone can do this?
Yeah, it's quite empowering.
It's super empowering. Yeah. And I'd been very much the victim thinker. This is happening to me. It's to me,
Life's too hard.
And yeah. Whereas now I feel when these tough things happen, that life is happening for me. This is the lesson I needed. This is the thing that will enrich me. This is the thing I need to take hold of and run with. And I actually noticed that, life would bring along a situation. If I didn't take notice of it, the same situation or similar would come up later. If I took notice of it and started to work on the change, then I wouldn't see that anymore. So, yeah, I definitely feel like this is a school we're in, and the disasters are the teachers.
Yeah. In your yellow car keynote, let's go back to the yellow car. You talk about illustrating a book. Can you tell me that story and explain why you tell that part of the story? There you go. There it is.
There's the book. So we were unemployed for quite a long time, 2 years, and the yellow car was really what saved us from going crazy. It taught us to just focus on what we could enjoy and have fun with, rather than all the things we couldn't change. We just couldn't change some of these things, and it was so made such a big difference, and was for so little effort, that we thought, oh, let's do a book. But it has to be illustrated, because this is just this fun story. It doesn't, wouldn't be a book, normal book. We didn't have the capacity to hire anyone to illustrate it, so we decided we'll illustrate it ourselves. And I show footage of us illustrating this book, and it took me 6 months to teach myself to illustrate. I didn't have an artistic thing. Was creative, but I didn't have skills in art, really. Certainly not in cartooning and illustrating. And but what I say during this talk is that, why am I telling you about illustrating a book? Is it because I want to sell you a book? And most people think, yeah, but it's not. It's because I want everyone to understand they are writing a book, and the book they're writing is the story of their life. And every day, every choice is the illustration. What they're choosing every day illustrates that book. And they're the ones who decide if this is a story with a happy ending, this is a story that's full of joy, or if this is, oh no, the trolls and the witches and all these horrible things are assailing me again and I have to run and hide. But they are the ones in control of that.
I love that. And just like every day you turn over the page, it's a new page. What are you going to draw on that today? If there was one message, Toni, that you hope every person working in schools hears, what would that be?
Well, one, I think, is that happiness is a learnable skill. And just like all the things you teach kids, you can learn this skill. But also that if you want to improve well-being, apart from drinking enough, sleeping enough, and exercising enough, which really are critical, lowering your stress level is the most important thing to do first, I think, because if we're in a stressed, negative brain, we're just so much less productive. We don't see solutions. Yeah, it clouds, and we don't relate well. We're impatient, we're intolerant, we're easily angered, so we don't have the capacity we need for the relationships. We don't have the capacity we need for thinking, solving problems, creating. And so we're starting off so far back. If you learn how to manage your stress and get through that, then all the other things fall more easily into place. So that would be the place I would start if you want to change your experience of life.
Reduce your stress levels. And any particular practical suggestions you could do to people to do that? Read the yellow car. No.
Yellow car. The yellow car story is a really instant stress reducer. But yeah, that understanding that it isn't the situation that is stressful, it is your decision that it is stressful, or that stress is a negative thing. Just simply switching your thinking to stress is a positive thing totally changes the physical impact on your body. The situation doesn't change, but the impact changes.
And that's a real good keynote phrase to end on, I reckon. I think that's a good takeaway for everybody, isn't it? So, Toni, thank you so much for joining us on the Business of School podcast. Keep doing your fantastic work out there in schools, working with leaders and staff alike, and we look forward to catching up with you again.
Yeah, it was lovely to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Toni. And that's a wrap for this episode of the Business of School podcast. We've enjoyed the conversation today and would love to have you join us for future episodes. Please hit the subscribe button and follow the links below to find more information and resources to support you and your school team. Until next time, keep being innovative, keep being awesome, and remember, there is always opportunity to improve on the journey. Thanks for connecting.